Comment response at Dexter Esther. Salvations for Israel. The Gentiles were Israelites, foreigners. I want to give all the honor, glory, and praise to the Most High Yahawah and His only begotten Son, YAHAWASHI. Double honors to the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Single honors to the elect. Peace and blessings to the 1/3 and to the confusion of faces in the four corners of the earth. Shalom. Now, this is for edification purposes. So me and Shaw, the beloved brother Shaw, did a video live yesterday. And someone in the comment section says, quit lying. I responded, over an hour of preaching, stamp why I went wrong. And my response was 1 Thessalonians 5:21. Prove all things, hold fast that which is good. So this is, hey, he didn't come malice or anything. He said he truly think I'm lying. So prove that I'm lying, because remember, the Lord hates a liar. So that's quit. As a matter of fact, before I go any further, let's get that. The Lord hates a liar. So you can't call me a liar and not prove it. All right. Gotta prove a point. This is Proverbs chapter 6, verse 16. These 16 doth the Lord hate, yea, 7 are an abomination unto him. A proud look, a lying tongue, okay, and hands that shed innocent blood, and a heart that deviseth wicked imaginations, feet that be swift and run into mischief, a false witness that speaketh lies. So technically you're a false witness, because you said I spoke a lie, but I'm going to prove what I'm not lying. And he that swore discord amongst brethren. Now, like I said, he didn't come malicious, so I'm just going to respond according to the spirit. Now, this individual, Dexter, he jotted down Joshua 6:25. So I'll go to Joshua 6:25, right? This is about Rahab. Remember, when you read the book of Joshua, we're coming up out of Egypt, and the Lord is having us go through the land of Canaan, destroy everything, and take over, right? Remember why Saul fell from his seat of being the king of Israel? Because he didn't kill everything the Lord told him to. Remember, he saved the cattle because the people wanted to sacrifice to the Lord. So we was going through there, running through everything. Rahab said she heard what we did in Egypt, and she asked us to protect her. All right, so let me read Joshua 6:1. Matter of fact, before I read that, let's go to the first verse. This is Joshua 1:1. Now, after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spake unto Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' minister. All right, saying, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore arise, go over this Jordan, thou and all this people, to the land which I do give to them, even to the children of Israel. So we're supposed to go into what? The land of Canaan. All right, so let's jump down to when Rahab, we end up meeting Rahab, okay? Joshua 2:1. And Joshua the son of Nun sent out of Shittim 2 men to spy secretly, saying, go view the land, even Jericho. And they went and came into an harlot's house named Rahab, and lodged there. So in other words, Rahab was hiding Jade. Okay. Now, let's get to the point. Now check this out. This is what Rahab said. Verse Joshua 2:8. And before they were laid down, she came up unto them upon the roof, and she said unto the men, I know that the Lord hath given you the land, and that your terror is fallen upon us, and that all the inhabitants of the land faint because of you. For we have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you, when ye came out of Egypt, and what ye did unto the 2 kings of the Amorites that were on the other side of Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom ye utterly destroyed. And as soon as we had heard these things, our hearts did melt, neither did there remain any more courage in any man because of you, for the Lord your God, he is God in heaven above and in earth beneath. Here comes the point. Now, therefore, I pray you, swear unto me by YAHAWAH. Where you see Lord in all capital letters, it's the Heavenly Father's name. Since I have shewed you kindness, that ye will also shew kindness unto my father's house and give me a true token. All she asked was to show kindness to the house because she showed kindness to the two spies that came out of Israel to spy on the land. She didn't snitch on them to the servants who came on behalf of the king. This has nothing to do with her being saved, as in being a partaker in the kingdom of heaven, if that's what you were getting at. Verse 13. And that ye will save alive my father and my mother and my brethren and my sisters and all that they have, and deliver our lives from death. And the men answer her, our life for yours, if ye utter not this our business. And it shall be, when Yahweh hath given us the land, that we will deal kindly and truly with thee. When we get the land, we're going to deal with you kindly and truly. That has nothing to do with being saved as being a partaker of the promise. Okay? So now let's go to your verse that you chose, Joshua 6. This is Joshua chapter 6, verse 25. And Joshua saved Rahab the harlot alive, and her father's household, and all that she had, and she dwelleth in Israel even unto this day, because she hid the messengers which Joshua sent to spy out Jericho. And I said it earlier, I know we spoke for over an hour, some change, but I said that the covenant, when you go into the word covenant, sagala, it also goes to as a breaking of the flesh, meaning when the Lord made the covenant with Abraham, he said that on the 8th day, every male child must be circumcised in your land. Not only every male child is born on the 8th day, but all the males in your land must be circumcised. That was a covenant. So in other words, just because we had strangers living amongst us during that time doesn't mean that there was a partaker of our culture, of our heritage. They had to partake in it, but they did not get any special treatment. They were still considered Gentiles and heathens. So they didn't get any part. They didn't partake of the covenant or anything of that nature, right? And also, you brought out Second Chronicles. It was Second Chronicles 6:32. All right, let's go there. Second Chronicles 6:32. Moreover, concerning the stranger, which is not of thy people Israel. So anyone that's not descended from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you are a heathen. That's literally what a heathen is. Anyone that's not descendant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Another word for heathen is Gentile, but you also have Israelites who are in a Gentile state of mind. So there are two distinctions between the heathen and the Gentile. A heathen and a Gentile could be one of the two. But a Gentile can also be an Israelite foreigner, meaning he's foreign to his own customs. Okay? So, 2 Chronicles 6:32. Moreover, concerning the stranger, which is not of thy people Israel, but is come from a far country, for thy great name's sake, and thy mighty hand, and thy stretched out arm, if they come and pray in this house, what did Rahab do? Did not she pray to the two spies to spare her family? Yeah. Then hear thou from heavens, even from thy dwelling place, and do according to all the stranger calleth to thee for, that all people of the earth may know thy name and fear thee as doth thy people Israel, and may know that this house which I have built is called by thy name. So in other words, let the world know that we are a benevolent people. That's all it means to be honorary. This is a royal a royal nation of people. Kings and monarchs, they have decorum. You don't just slay everybody. So Rahab she asked to be treated nicely, and they said, "Our life for yours," meaning that if we don't, then the Lord will destroy us. That's what the spies told them, and showed them favor. What's wrong with that, right? Let me give you another example. Let's go back to the book of Joshua. Yeah, this is Joshua chapter 9. Listen to this. Joshua verse 9 and verse 8. Actually, this is going to actually help out your Chronicles, but pay attention. Joshua 9 and 8. And they said unto Joshua, We are thy servants. And Joshua said unto them, Who are you? And from whence come ye? Notice it said, We are your servants, right? Matter of fact, verse 7, Joshua 9 and 7. And the men of Israel said unto the Hivites, Peradventure ye dwell among us, and how shall we make a league with you? So like, how you gonna live amongst us when we are two different people? All right, now let's jump down to verse 9. And they said unto him from a very far country, Thy servants are come because of the name of Yahawah thy God, for we have heard the fame of him and all that he did in Egypt. Rahab said the same thing. And all that he did to the two kings of the Amorites that were beyond Jordan, to Sihon king of Heshbon, and to Og king of Bashan, which was at Ashtaroth. Wherefore our elders and all the inhabitants of our country spake to us, saying, Take victuals with you for the journey, and go to meet them, and say unto them, We are your servants, therefore now make ye league with us. So they came from a far country. They heard what our power did to those kings. They came bearing gifts and things, victuals and all that, saying, Listen, we was told by our elders to come make a league with you. They don't sound like they're getting part of the promise. They're asking for refuge, y'all. All right. Mr. Dexter, verse 12. This our bread we took hot for our provision out of our houses on the day we came forth to go unto you. But now, behold, it is dry and it is moldy. Oh, okay. And these bottles of wine which we filled were new, and behold, they be rent, meaning that they're gone rancid. And these our garments and our shoes are become old by reason of the very long journey. And the men took of their victuals and asked not counsel at the mouth of the Lord. Ooh. And Joshua made peace with them and made a league with them to let them live. That was it. To let them live. Nothing to do with the promises of partaking in the kingdom of heaven. And the princes of the congregation swear unto them. So I'm gonna leave it right there. All right. So we established Joshua 6:25 in 2 Chronicles. Yes, we had strangers that dwelled among us. That was during that time. But that does not mean that they have the rights of an Israelite. It was all about allowing them to live. Okay? Because they heard of the catastrophe the Lord was doing. So now let's jump down to your Ephesians 3 and 6. Because after I responded, I said, I mentioned during today's preaching that Gentiles lived and dwell among Israel. That doesn't mean that they are heirs to the promise. Then you jump to Ephesians 3 and 6 and Romans 8 and 17. You said it's a spiritual Israel. Oh, Lord. So, in defense of the gospel, I'm going to go to Ephesians. Yeah, I probably saw it on the screen when I first started. Go to Ephesians 6 and... I'm sorry, Ephesians 3 and 6, forgive me. This is Ephesians chapter 3, verse 6. That the Gentiles should be fellow heirs and of the same body and partakers of his promise and Mashiach by the gospel. Let's stop it right there. The Gentiles. So I'm in the Blue Letter Bible, right? So we're going to go into that word Gentile. Okay. A multitude, whether of men or of beasts, associated or living together, okay, whatever. A multitude of individuals of the same nature. ethnos. Because the word there is ethnos. Makes sense, right? Or genus, a tribe, nation, people, group. In the Old Testament, foreign nations not worshiping the true. Wow, remember what I said? It's pretty much a heathen. Foreign nations not worshiping the true God, pagans, Gentiles. Here comes the point, sir. Paul uses the term for Gentile Christians. Whoa, wait a minute. Paul used that for Gentile Christians? Well, who were Christians? The Christians were Israelites. Let's prove that. Acts. This is Acts chapter 11, verse 26. And when he had found him, he brought him unto Antioch. And it came to pass that a whole year they assembled themselves with the church and taught much people. And the disciples were called Christians first in Antioch. The disciples were Israelites. Matthew 10 and 5, the Lord told the disciples to go to who? We have to establish this, y'all. We have to establish this because he used Ephesians 3 and 6 as a way of saying the Gentiles are heirs. But you have to understand which Gentiles he's talking about in one context. Because right here, Matthew chapter 10, verse 5, these 12 YAHAWASHI, whom the world ignorantly called Jesus, sent forth. Because letter J didn't exist 2,000 years ago. And commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles, Dexter, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So he told the 12 to go who? To the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And as you go preach, saying the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Oh, that don't prove they're Israelites. Think about this. Why would the Messiah choose heathens to go and preach to his own people that the kingdom is only for them? That don't make sense. The disciples were Israelites. Okay, that's what he told. He said, only go to them. Don't go to the Gentiles. Right? And preach what? The kingdom of heaven is at hand for who? The house of Israel. The lost sheep of the house of Israel. So, that Acts 11 and 26 makes sense now. The Christians were first. The disciples were first. And the disciples were called Christians first in Antioch. I'm reading the last sentence of that verse, Acts 11 and 26. Why? Because the Christians are Israelites by default. That's only who the Lord came for. Now, to go into that Gentile, let's go back to Ephesians. Ephesians 3 and 6. That the Gentiles should be fellow heirs and of the same body and partakers of his promise and Mashiach by the gospel. Now, let's go to 1 Corinthians 12 and 1. Listen to this, y'all. Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren. Remember that word brethren, right? Remember that word brethren. I will not have you ignorant. Ye know that ye were Gentiles. No, once a Gentile, always a Gentile. It means that you were Gentiles. Mean what? Someone was something before, then they became something else. So what were they before they became Gentiles? Well, they were Israelites genetically, but mentally they were carrying the customs of who? The heathens. Remember when I went into the word Gentile, said ethnos in the last definition? It said Paul, who considered Christian Gentiles. Yeah. Matter of fact, let's just go right back. I don't want to make this long, but when I do my videos, I want to make sure that people are getting a full understanding. Now, this is the word. This may not. Is this the same one? I think it's the same one. Yeah, the same Gentile, ethnos. Well, and if you look at the fifth biblical outline, it says Paul uses the term for Gentile Christians. So it's also used for Israelite Gentiles or Christian Gentiles who are Israelites. Can't get past that. Can't get past that. Let me read it again. 1 Corinthians 12 and 1. Now, brethren, Now concern, forgive me, now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I will not have you ignorant. You know that you were Gentiles, carried away into these dumb idols, even as you were led. Why? Because we have a living power. We pray to the living power. Paul said we were following after dumb idols. For those of you who don't know, dumb does not mean that someone's not intellectually smart, right? I was gonna say intellectually intelligent. That doesn't make sense, because intel just means information. Someone's very informative. Doesn't mean that you're intellectually smart. Dumb means that you can't speak well. Idols can't speak. Statues can't speak. Paintings can't speak. That's what he meant by what was carried over to these dumb idols, because you have to read the book of Acts. In order for you to understand the mystery, you must know the history, like the elders say. Our people was praying Jupiter, praising the Jupiter. They was giving worship to Diana of Ephesus, right? They were giving worship to Saturn, all right? Our people was giving worship to Bacchus. Okay, we were worshiping all these false idols and all these false gods. Because remember, Israel, we started getting conquered during the time of what, around 323 BC is when Alexander the Great was really doing his run, right? Oh, I'm sorry, 320. I said 320. That was the time that empire started coming up out of Macedonia. But this gets to the point around 160 BC is when when they started to assault. Antiochus Epiphanes the Fourth started to do a major assault on the Israelites during that time, and then that's when the Maccabean era came about. Yeah, so you gotta understand, and when you read in First Maccabees, the first chapter, Antiochus Epiphanes forced us not to keep our high holy days, forced us to not circumcise our sons the 8th day, forced us to put abominable fools like swine on the altar. They had harlots in the temple. They did all kind of heinous things. They made us forget who we were. Hence, we were Gentiles, carried away into dumb idols under captivity, sir. That's not talking about the actual Gentiles, okay? Now let's go to your Romans 8, and then I'm gonna go to Romans 9 after that, and I'm gonna close out. I don't know, make this long, but I have to make sure that you are truly informed. Romans 8 and 17. Let me start at Romans 8 and 16. The Spirit itself bears witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. Not all, we are the children of God. And if children, the heirs, heirs of God, and joint heirs with Mashiach, if so be that we suffer with him, that we may also be glorified together. Yeah? Now remember, I was reading 1 Corinthians 12 and 1. Remember what he said concerning spiritual gifts, brethren. Remember that word, brethren? So let's find out who the joint heirs are. Romans 9 and 1. Just one chapter over for you, Dexter. Romans 9 and 1. I say the truth in Mashiach, I lie not, my conscience also bearing me witness in the Holy Spirit, that I have great heaviness and continual sorrow in my heart. For I could wish that myself were accursed from Mashiach, from my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh. His brethren, remember I read brethren in 1 Corinthians, right? His brethren, his kinsmen, according to the flesh. So when you hear the word brethren, he's talking about his kinsmen, according to the flesh. So in 1 Corinthians 12, 1 and 2, his brethren was those Gentiles that was carried away unto dumb idols. Verse 4, who are Israelites. So he's telling you, my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh, not spiritually, sir, because you're trying to throw in this whole spiritual Israel. No, he said, according to the flesh, who are Israelites. Now let's get to the bread and butter. To whom pertaineth the adoption, the grafting, and the glory, and the covenants, the promises. They're only for Israelites, fleshly, kinsmen, brethren, Israelites, not spiritual, sir. All right? And the covenants and the giving of the law. It was only given to Israel. Psalms 119:17, if I'm not mistaken. In the service of God and the promises. and the promises. Whose are the fathers? Wait a minute. All people know whose are the fathers. What fathers? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Of whom, as concerning the flesh, Mashiach came, who was over all. God bless forever. Amen. Woo, fuego. Beautiful. And also to add a little more, add some vegan icing on top of this cake, I'm going to go to who the fathers are. Right there in Romans 9:5, it said, whose are the fathers? I'm going to Psalms 105:5. Remember his marvelous works that he hath done, his wonders and the judgments of his mouth. O ye seed of Abraham, his servant, ye children of Jacob, his chosen. He is the Lord our God. His judgments are in all the earth. He hath remembered his covenant forever, the word which he commanded to 1,000 generations. Let's see who it's for. Remember, it's for 1,000 generations. So he ain't breaking. A covenant is a contract. This is a spiritual contract. The Lord ain't breaking it, right? Let's get back. Psalms 105:9, which covenant he made with Abraham and his oath unto Isaac, and confirmed the same unto Jacob for a law, and to Israel for an everlasting covenant. Jacob and Israel are interchangeable, like Esau and Edom is interchangeable. Jacob name got changed to Israel after he wrestled with the angel. Verse 11, saying, unto thee will I give the land of Canaan, the lot of your inheritance. And this segues all the way back to the book of Joshua with Rahab. The Lord, because we was going into the land of Canaan. It was a promise, a part of the covenant, a part of the promises he made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Hence, Rahab is not a partaker or a joint heir of the kingdom. And there's no such thing as a spiritual Israelite being grafted in. It's a promise he already made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob before man created Christianity. You notice the Lord never gave Moses Christianity. He gave him laws, statutes, and commandments, which would be a part of our heritage, known as Israelites. So I'm sorry to show you were sadly mistaken, but if you want, you can make a rebuttal video as well. With that being said, I truly pray y'all was edifying, fed, stay in the spirit, don't fear it, just endure it. Ask for forgiveness, pray without ceasing, stay humble, remain diligent. Kwama Sha'Allah, Mufla Babal, Shalom.